Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, we're with Connie McCue. Hi, Connie.
Hi guys, how you doing?
I think people are going to love listening to you, Connie. And part of the reason for that is um, you were quite an interesting student when you were in high school. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself as a student?
Well, I wasn't in the A class, okay? I struggled, but I didn't really care very much. And the teachers used to say, you're not working up to your potential. And I wasn't. But I was having fun. I was enjoying it. I was the captain of the twirling team. I was a co-captain the year before. I was in all of the musicals that they had, and I did, everything that I enjoyed, and I managed to muddle through and graduate.
It sounds actually like a pretty good way to do it.
I think there was more than one of me around.
Oh, yeah. There was definitely more than one of you. Now, you were voted most unpredictable.
Yes, and that was like really really strange to me because I could tried to figure out why, and I thought that you know I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I'm kind of still that way. I'm still looking for different things that interest me, so I still haven't figured it out. So I figured that's pretty unpredictable, and where I ended up in radio, I don't think anybody had planned that. I certainly didn't. So.
Well, before we get to the radio, let's start with your drinking. So when you were in high school,
My drinking. Thanks a lot. Like I'm an AA member. Thank you very much. No,
well, you did go to Rushnecks with
this is my
Phony
first.
ID.
Yes. Okay. About a week or so after graduation, I'm an October baby, so I wasn't 18, and drinking, of course, was at 18. So my good friend Sharon Levine, she was a June baby, so she had her license and she had her mama's car. So she picked me and a couple of other girls up, and we went out to the only place we knew around, which was Rusnak and Zuck's on Sawmill River Road. And we get in there. Now they've got a jukebox going, they got dance floor, they got a bar over here, and they've got tables over here. So we figured that we're good, we're looking good, and we're feeling good. We went there. I ordered a screwdriver, the only drink that I'd heard about. And shortly after they brought me my drink, the waitress came over and she put another drink down. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "I didn't order that." And she goes, "No, it's from the guy at the bar." And she points to the bar. So I turned to the bar. There's my big brother, Jerry. And I'm like, busted. And Sharon goes, "Oh my God. Oh my God." I'm like, "Oh shit." So he's going to tell mommy. That's all you can think. That's what's going through your mind. So I walked over and I said, "Hi, Jerry. How you doing?" And he says, "All right, kid, let me tell you, I'm not going to tell mommy." He says, "But," he says, "you don't get in a car with anybody who's been drinking. You got it? If you need a ride, you call me." I'm like, "Okay." He says, "And don't drink more than one." I said, "Okay, fine. Thank you very much." He says, "And have fun." I said, "Okay."
I love it. Now, a couple of years later, in 1969, you married Al Paletsky.
I did.
Um,
Yep.
and a few years after that, in 73 and 77, you had two children.
Mhm.
Um, and you were still working as a secretary in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And then you sort of enrolled as a radio and TV communications major at college. And unbeknownst to maybe any of the classmates, you were an incredible student when you went to college.
I
Could you
am.
tell us, why did you go into radio, TV, and how did you find yourself to be such a good student?
Well, I went into radio and TV after an incident where my daughter had a swim aid that broke, and I was so angry about it because she'd only worn it twice. So I contacted Betty Furness at the time on NBC. She was their first reporter doing that sort of in-depth thing, and the story took off, and it got on national news. My sister-in-law saw it in Georgia, and trying to get this product pulled off the market. It was a swim bubble, and there was so much attention paid to this, and I realized the power of the press, basically the power of radio and television. And they even did a follow-up the following year, and they had me and the kids in a swimming pool, showing different ways of safety. So I thought, this is cool. So Elizabeth Seton College had radio and television communication classes, and I thought, well, let me give it a shot. So I started out just taking 1 or 2 classes because I was pregnant with Alec at the time in the beginning. And then I had to drop out of school for the second semester because he was born at the end of December. Anyway, every class I went full time after my daddy died, and because I was busy taking care of him before that. And so I went full time and I got all A's. So I was like, hey, I can do it, even the hard ones like math. So, but yeah, I had a good time doing that too.
And a year before graduating,
Uh-huh.
you and Al were divorced.
Hmm.
And then you graduated and immediately got a job at WFAS.
Yes, I
And
was very lucky.
and one of the things, well, probably some skill as well. But one of the things that happened is you became an expert on Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, that was like not my choice. I never really listened to Frank Sinatra music, and my family didn't either. But the Sunday guy who did Sunday with Sinatra's left for some reason, and they were in a bind, and they said, "Connie, you're up." And I thought, "Oh Lord!" I had like 3 days to prepare, and having heard his show, I know he gave background information that I was not aware of. So I went to the bookstore and I bought 2 or 3 books on Frank Sinatra. So when I came on Sunday and I said, hi, this is, and if nobody knew me in radio because I used Connie Kelly as my name, because my brother Karen was at WZFM, a rival station, and he was on at the same times that I was on. So we couldn't have Karen McCue and Connie McCue. So I was Connie Kelly, so nobody knew who I was. Anyway, I started saying, well, this is from Frank Sinatra's movie, 1942 movie where he starred with so-and-so and, play the songs. And people would call in with their requests and everything. I had a fan base like you wouldn't believe. Everybody thought I was in love with Sinatra. So it was very, you can make anything happen if you try.
Well, that's a testament to your research as well as who you are as a person.
Yeah.
That college girl who now has graduated obviously followed you through.
Yeah.
Now, when you were at FAS, you met and married Greg, and you all ended up moving to Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
And you continued to do work in radio in a variety of different fields, including reporting traffic. Could you tell us a story or two about your radio?
I was on an oldies station, and it was an oldies station on the FM and a news station on the AM. I worked both sides, and the traffic reporter was going to take a vacation, and the usual guy who covered for him was on had left off the station. So they said, Connie, you're going to do the traffic. Now, I'd only been in Virginia Beach about a year or two. And anybody who knows me knows I have zero sense of direction. I can't find my way out of a paper bag. And here I am going up. They had a small plane that was piloted, and you gave the traffic, air traffic from there. So I studied my maps that weekend and stuff, but looking at a map and then looking down from how many feet, I don't know. You don't know. There's no sign saying north or east or west. There's no street signs. And so it was a challenge. And so I'm like, okay, wait, that's okay. That's good. I was managing. It wasn't easy, but I was managing. And then the afternoon came around for the drive time, and we're going over the city of Norfolk has 2 tunnels. They have the downtown tunnel and the midtown tunnel. So I knew it was a tunnel because the traffic would disappear and then show up on the other side. Okay. So we're flying over, and I see there's a backlog of cars going down and disappearing. And I said, oh, shoot. And I'm looking, and they say, okay, now the traffic with Connie Kelly. And I'm like, I said, everything's going along smoothly on I-64 and that, but there's a problem at one of the tunnels in Norfolk. I said, but unfortunately, I don't know which tunnel it is, but if you're stuck in a line of cars and you're headed for a tunnel, that's the one that's got the backup. And the DJ comes on, and they're cracking up. They're going like, wait a minute. I said, I don't know which one it is. And years later, I was at a party and was introduced to somebody, and they said, Connie Kelly, because they knew me as that. And he said, you're the one who didn't know which tunnel that had the traffic backup. I said, oh my God. Yes, that was me. So I was known as they didn't ask me to do it the next time. I don't know why, but
That, I love it.
It was, you know, well, I told the truth. So, you know, I'm big on that.
You know, you also had a show about fishing that you had to become somewhat expert at, that you knew nothing about. And I love the fact that you would just be able to jump right in and do this stuff. Your last job before retiring in 2012 was selling travel packages for 17 years.
Yes. Yes.
What was it fun? Did you get any perks from that?
I did. I did. I was in a good place at a good time, where they were the first agency. It was called the Vacation Store, and they basically, the station, the newspaper owned the Travel Channel, so they had a lot of infomercials. And so we were in a call center in the beginning, and they would air a commercial at a certain time, and we would get calls in on it. And then they graduated to having face-to-face, and I was in that portion of the office. And it was a good time to be doing that. So people could actually call in and book their vacation. And then a few years later, about, I guess, 5 or 6 years later, the internet started coming up, and people were finding more stuff on the internet. And that's really what kind of killed the travel agency business. But by that time, I was, you know, I was kind of tired of the whole thing. The business had been sold 2 or 3 times. It wasn't the same. So I kind of left. So
Timing is
everything. But while I was there in the early days, I went to Hawaii, I went to Alaska, I went to Paris. I had a number of cruises and Caribbean vacations, and I enjoyed all of it. You know, that was fun because I never would have been able to afford going to those places. And, you know, so, you know, it was good, you know.
Yeah, those perks do sound pretty good.
They were fun. They were fun. Yeah.
Now, you told me that Vinny Tapazio mentions something to you.
Yeah.
He said something about who you are.
Yeah, Vinny was a good friend of mine and my sister's. And actually, when my brother Terry got married, we asked him to come and be our date. So he he filled in for us. But a few years after high school and college, my sister ran into him in New York City. And so he stopped to talk to him. Mary Ellen, it's so good to see you and everything. And then he says, how's Connie? Is she still trying to please all the people all the time? And when she said that, I thought, she told me, and I said, oh my God, he knew me better than I knew myself, because that is what I do and always have. I try to make people happy. See, you're smiling.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, but it was so funny that that's how he thought of me. And I thought, that's really it. You know, I hate confrontations. I hate arguments. I walk away. But I just always try to be kind to everybody.
So now, one of the things that you did that's a little bit different than probably most of us is you've written songs and children's books. How was that? And did you do that with anybody that we might know?
Well, yes, the songwriting came first. And I loved country music, and I loved going to live concerts down at the Lone Star Cafe in New York City and a number of other places, any place I get a chance. And so I started writing songs just because I just decided that was it. I started doing it with Al was working at night. And so I'd be sitting around and the kids were asleep, and I just started, you know, writing things together. And Bob Woven and Joe Hucrott were good friends of ours, and still are. And so I asked Bob helped me with some tunes, because sometimes I could do the writing, but I didn't always come up with the tune. But he's a master musician. He can play anything. And so he would co-write with some of the things with me. And when I did some audition tapes, Bob and Joe played with me, and you know, we sent them all out. I got some really nice rejection letters, but I never sold one, so that was kind of unfortunate. But I've got them, so you know, and they're all copyrighted. So it was fun.
I mean, that does sound really exciting, actually.
It was different and it was fun, you know.
Yeah.
And then when
sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, is there a quote that you particularly like?
Yes, there is. That quote that I said is, let me look at my note. I forget it now. It's like here I remember. They might not always remember exactly what you did or what you said, but people will remember why you said it and how you said it and how you made them feel. And that's what I do. I try to make people feel better. So,
Well, in listening to you, it becomes very clear that you had a lot of stuff. And, we didn't get to talk about your dad and how you took care of him, about your mom, how you took care of her, how you sort of wanted to be Gladys of Gladys Knight and the Pips.
I wanted to be a Pip, not Gladys.
And, but as we noted before, you voted most unpredictable. And I think we could have also voted you like great daughter, fearless, funny, helpful, creative, and kind. Thanks, Connie. This was
And a great grandma, don't forget that.
And especially a great grandma. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been fun. I'll see you at the reunion.
Love it.
Bye.